Welcome to Heidi Reddit Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, 2 for 1. I had just retired after 24 years in the military. I was done being a boss. I just wanted to work without stress. Little did I know that retail is a nightmare. I worked for one of those big box stores in Mississippi, as a product service associate. We did resets of merchandise on shelves. I happened to be on the window blinds aisle when a very irate man came up to me demanding help. I calmly asked him what was wrong since he had a box of blinds in his hands. He started screaming at me that the other employee had messed up the blinds and I had better fix it or he would kick my posterior. Of course, he used a completely different word. So, I asked him to calm down and he told me he was going to drag me out of the store and kick my butt if I didn't fix it right away. Being hardened by 24 years of military work, and somewhat taller than him, I leaned over and said, "You'd better call a few friends first." Luckily a manager heard the commotion and came around the corner. As the guy went off on the manager told me, "They need help in gardening outside, go help." So out I went to an area I knew nothing about. Sure enough, a young teenager came up and asked me where the Salvia divinorum was. As he finished talking, his dad walked up and asked the same thing. I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know." To which the dad answered, "Why the hell not, you work here don't you?" I told the dad that I was sorry, that I actually worked inside, but I'd get someone for him. Now the employee I got was an agricultural specialist named Brad, and he really knew his stuff. So, he asked the dad what they were looking for. The dad angrily said, "My son is looking for Salvia divinorum." With the biggest grin on his face, Brad said, "We can't sell that, sir. It is classified as a hallucinogenic by Mississippi and is illegal." All the garbage I'd taken in the last 10 minutes was worth the death stare the dad gave his kid. Ah, divine karma. The next one is titled, "I'm just visiting dead people." My husband and I, joined by family from out of town, paid our respects yesterday at the graves of his parents and grandparents. I recognize death and grief evoke a wide spectrum of responses, and I appreciate that my husband's family focuses on good memories and the joy of living. We first visited my husband's parents. Gathered around the headstone, everyone seemed glad to be together. Even as we talked about loss, we joked. When we arrived at Nana and Grandpa's resting place, a man in the next row was complaining loudly to a woman on Zoom about the condition of his loved one's gravesite. He paced and flailed his arms. "We've got to get this fixed." The woman squawked back. About 4 feet from the grave marker was a small garden bed with a memorial bench. The man was distraught that the bench was not perfectly square with the marker. He buzzed among graves in our vicinity, showing the woman on Zoom how other benches were situated. Meanwhile, we had encircled Nana and Grandpa's grave and were chatting. The man called out, making eye contact with me, "Are you with the cemetery?" I said no, and he returned to his diatribe. I looked at us in parkas, flannel shirts, jeans and colorful masks, wondering what he saw that made him think we worked there. Was it our levity? Did my big sunglasses give me an air of authority? Maybe in the throes of personal pain, even displaced pain, anyone looks like someone who can help. The next one is titled, "Beware, I don't work here cuts both ways." Cast, me is me and P is prick. I had just finished playing a few hours of Demon's Souls when my min pin started to beg for some attention. It was around 3 p.m. so she was prob hungry. I grabbed my keys and drove a few blocks to my local Vons. I just needed puppy food and a bottle of Tapatio hot sauce to complete my shopping for today. I live in famous city in southern CA that has a zoo, fish zoo, and wild zoo with no cages. I grabbed the puppy food first, then headed for my hot sauce. As luck would have it, there was only one left, but it was on the top shelf, and in the back corner. I'm 5'10" and I have a pretty good reach, but this one was a bit too far for me. I looked around for an employee but could not find one. I decided to just hang tight and simply ask a normal customer that was tall if they would not mind lending me a hand. The first guy that walks by my area happened to be tall and I decide to ask for help. "Hi, sorry to bother you." I get cut off. I don't work here. Now, I think to myself, don't end up on Reddit, so I quickly say, "Sorry, I know you don't work here. I was just wondering if you would be so kind as to lend me a hand. You are taller than I and I am not able to reach a bottle. Would you be able to assist me?" I figured that if I told him I understood that he is not an employee, and I am simply asking for a quick hand from another human being, he may be cool with it. Wrong. In the worst way possible, hell no. Okay, no worries, thank you. I figured, he is under no obligation to help me, don't be rude, don't say anything else. Next person that walks by, same question, they say sure, no sweat, and hand me the bottle. I thank them for the help and off I go to pay for everything. The 15 items or less line was long, so it took me a bit to get out the store. When I get to my car, P was struggling to open the trunk of his car and not drop all his groceries. He had tried to carry a bunch of bags on both arms and also carry a few boxes on top, using his chin to hold it down. He was a few moments away from toppling over and losing his eggs and fruits bag when he noticed someone nearby me, and said, "Quick, I'm about to lose my grip. Please help." I stopped, turned my head until he saw me, and I am guessing he knew what was coming from his expression. I don't work here. I unlocked my car and as I was getting in, I heard something hit the floor and he started yelling something. I don't know that he said because I was too busy not giving a single F about that prick. I did see on my rear view mirror his eggs were on the ground splattered, and some fruit rolling away under some nearby cars. You don't want to help a person? That's fine, just don't expect help in return. The next one is titled, "There's always one Target employee that wears a blue polo instead of red each day." So, I just found this sub and it's hilarious. I can't help but to share my story. It may not be up to par, but I always laugh to myself when I think about it. This was about 12 years or so ago, so I was about 20. I was on the phone with my then wife and walking through Target doing some Christmas shopping. I was wearing a dark blue polo shirt and charcoal slacks, relevant for later. As I'm walking through the media section, CDs, books, magazines, and DVD section, two older women are seemingly trying to find something. They see me walking by and as I walk past, I hear a, "Sir? Sir?" I had kept walking because I figured it wasn't directed to me. I was on the phone and was doing my own shopping. I found what I was looking for and so I looped back the other way to head to another section of the store. I worked at a restaurant at the time, and I also hate being in stores in general, so I walk pretty quickly. I hear behind me, "Excuse me. Sir." This kind of stopped me in my tracks as it probably would most hearing someone suddenly shout in a public place. I turn and she is looking dead at me and says, "Can I get some help over here?" I tell my wife to hold for a second and I go over to see what she wants. She tells me she's looking for some sort of lamp. So, I tell her that the lamps are in the decor section, not in the DVD aisle, weird right? And then continue with my call with my wife and with shopping. I finally pass this lady one last time as I'm leaving the store. This time I'm no longer on the phone. Well, I found what I was looking for. It wasn't where you said it was. I was sincerely confused by this woman. First off, she was in the decor section, where I had directed her, and second, if she had found what she wanted, why even comment? So, it's at this point I finally decide to tell her, "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm sorry I didn't help you better." She stood there blank-eyed and confused. "You don't?" "No ma'am. You haven't ever noticed the employees here all wear red shirts and khakis? Or that I was on my cell phone? Have a good day ma'am. I'm glad you found your lamp lol. For the sake of all safety, I hope someone else had driven her to the store, because I really don't like the idea of her being out on the road behind the wheel." The next one is titled, "The Confused, the Karen and the Mama Bear." Okay, so I, 21F, was shopping out with my mom, 44F, near the start of the pandemic. I was wearing a Christmas jumper, a sparkly skirt, a blue coat and light-up shoes and a mask. My mom was also wearing a mask because she has to be extra careful because she suffers from asthma. Anyway, I went to get some pasta and sauce for dinner that night while my mom went to grab milk and ice cream. I grabbed some pasta and was choosing some sauce when I noticed a little girl having trouble getting some sauce and helped her out by getting the sauce she wanted and handing it to her. She thanked me and went on her way. I spotted some sauce that looked good and grabbed a couple of jars. I was about to go and find my mom when someone started speaking to me. I turned around and found a man who looked like he wasn't much older than me, asking me if I could help him grab something. I was caught off guard to say the least. I am 5 feet exactly and this guy was clearly taller than me and I had my arms full. I calmly told him that I need to give my pasta and the sauce to my mom and will find an employee to help. The man, who I will call CM for Confused Man, looked very puzzled and said, "But don't you work here?" I sighed and then just left the aisle and spotted my mom, who had the milk and was getting the ice cream. I walked over to her and carefully placed the pasta and sauce into the cart, and we chose the ice cream. Then we just needed some bread and fruit. I went to grab the fruit while my mom grabbed the bread. While I was getting some fruit, I noticed a lady staring at me and felt very creeped out, but decided to just grab the bananas and the berries and go back to my mom. But then when I was just to go back to my mom with the bananas and the other fruit, when the lady bumped me with her cart, hitting the back of my legs. I stepped to the side thinking I was just in her way. But then she said, "After you finish helping that lady with her shopping, I want you to help me with mine. It's nice to see an employee who knows their place." I felt shocked by this lady, no wait Karen, and her attitude, and while I wanted to yell at this Karen, I don't want to make a scene because my mom was there. So, I just said nothing and started to walk back to my mom when the Karen, realizing that I had dared to not worship the ground that she walks, and started following me, hitting me with her cart, which hurt. She kept demanding that I pay attention to her. Some people looked like they wanted to step in, but then, "What are you doing?" My mom had come to where the fruit was because I had been taking a while. The Karen, somehow not realizing that she was talking to my mom, who I bear striking remembrance to, and smiled smugly at me and said, "I was just trying to teach this rude employee a lesson because she wasn't listening to me." My mom death glared at the Karen and cold but calmly stated, "That is not an employee. That is my daughter. And I would prefer if you would stay away from her." The Karen looked super surprised that my mom wasn't agreeing and tried to argue with her, but my mom just shot her a look that would have killed her 5 times over if it could, and the Karen promptly shut up. My mom pulled me away from the Karen and we paid for the groceries and then left while the Karen was complaining about us. The next one is titled, "I do not work here, and a venomous manager tried to write me up for it. Oh boy, I am tired of being recognized." I live in a relatively small podunk college town, with 3 grocery stores, a dying mall, and a slightly decent downtown. Because I work in one of those grocery stores in a pharmacy, I'm often identified when I'm out and about, and for some reason, I just look like I work there, wherever this mythical there is. This took place a few years ago, and since the manager is no longer with the store, I think I can write it up without retribution. I've got long hair, a beard, I'm a bit on a heavy side, and I normally wear rock t-shirts and a leather biker jacket when I'm not at work. I wear this like armor, as I'm actually very passive and I don't want to be bothered when I'm out and about. I look tough, but there's nothing tough about my marshmallow soul. I've just finished watching a movie at our local dying mall, having gone myself since I just wanted to get away for a while, and am currently wearing a Doctor Who hoodie and jeans, hair down and a Guns N' Roses t-shirt. As I'm exiting the theater, I hear that dreaded voice, the entitled call of the snooty customer. Hey. Hey you. I turn around, and see your average soccer mom, with bleach blonde hair and a purse big enough to brain a camel, carrying a large collection of trash. She's holding the trash with one hand, her struggling child with the other, and stares at me pointedly. I don't want to believe what's about to happen, but I steel myself. Yes. Throw this away. No please, no asking, just a demand. I glance to a trash can that's only 5 feet from where she's standing. Why? Oh, you think I'd just offered to split her child in half in front of her with a broadsword. You work at big box store, you're used to this. Amazing. She knows I don't work there, but she still thinks I'm put on this earth to serve her. I just roll my eyes and turn away, scooting towards the bathroom. Sorry ma'am, got to pee. And I do just that, taking a quick leak and a long time washing my hands. By the time I exit, the woman and her kid are gone. I figure that's all that's going to happen with this, just some entitled person who thinks that I work in retail. She can just treat me like an indentured servant. Oh boy, was I wrong. 2 days later I'm back at work, cleaned up, hair in a ponytail, in uniform, just doing my thing slinging drugs at the pharmacy, when one of our most hated managers shows up. Let's call her GLaDOS. Mostly cause the antagonist of Portal is how she's always seemed to me. Passive-aggressive, snobby, and more than happy to toss her weight around. Op, would you come with me, please? I am a bit shocked, since I've not been in trouble with this job for over 5 years, and my mind immediately starts spinning through anything I may have done in the past week or so. GLaDOS takes me back to the manager office, picks up some papers, and has a seat. Op, I had a complaint about you the other day from a customer. I sink down, trying not to shake with panic. What have I done? She says you were very rude to her at the movie theater the other day and refused to help her. Silence. I just blink a few times at GLaDOS. I'm sorry, what? GLaDOS repeats the accusation. When you work for this company, you represent us, even when you're not on the clock. Now, I'm only going to give you a coaching, but I want you to watch what you do in the future. No. GLaDOS looks back at me in shock. Did I just say no to her? What do you mean, no? I said, no. I'm not taking a coaching for something that happened off the clock. I lean forward, folding my hands in my lap and glaring at her. Why are there no other managers here? Why's my pharmacy manager not here? Shouldn't he be here when I'm being coached by someone that's not even over my department? Speaking of which, where's our department manager? Could you show me where in the Code of Conduct handbook it says I can't refuse to clean up after someone when I'm not on the clock? Doesn't it say in the training videos we watch when we start not to work off the clock? GLaDOS is doing her best impression of a gaping fish by this point, eyes wide and staring back at me. I don't think she was expecting the happy-go-lucky nerd in the pharmacy to take such a hard line and not just roll over to her casual bullying. I stood up and opened the door. If you want to take it up with my manager, please do. But do know that if I hear anything about this, I'll take this all the way to the store manager, your boss. Corporate, if I have to. I left, shaking with anger. I'd heard others in the store bitch about this manager before and how she'd try to toss her weight around, but I'd never had it happen to me before. I don't know if the original customer was a friend of GLaDOS and she thought she'd get some revenge, but I never heard anything else on the matter. 2 months later, GLaDOS was let go in a store restructuring. Every other manager was shifted or reassigned, but she was the only one to be shown the door. The next one is titled, The Case of the Drunken Urinator. Many moons ago, I was working as the night manager of a hotel on Clearwater Beach. I walked down to the Hess station to get more coffee and chat with my friend, let's call him Dave, who works there. Also, he gives me my coffee for free, so there's that too. Dave and I are standing outside the store when we hear some commotion up the street. We think nothing of it since it's about 3 a.m. and when the club's let out, there is always something going on. A few minutes pass and we are still outside talking. Here enters our good friend, drunken urinator, Do. Do heads over to the side of the store and proceeds to live up to his name. Dave yells out to him that when he is done, which I thought he was quite kind to let the guy finish, he had to leave the property. Allow me to point out a few things. Dave is white. I am black. Dave is about 8 inches shorter than me. Dave is wearing a green shirt that says Hess on it. I am wearing a brown polo. Dave has a mullet. I am bald. Dave has a good beer gut thing going on. I not so much. Simply put, there is no way any rational, sane individual would ever confuse the two of us. Back to the story. Do leaves and Dave go inside. I follow to fill up my coffee cup, it's free, remember, and then head back outside to walk back to my actual place of employment. This is when Do rounds the corner of the store and yells, "That's the a-hole right there," pointing at me. First, I have no idea who he is yelling to since he is alone, and second, I immediately see this is going to end badly. So, I put my hands up, left one still has the cup of coffee, and start backing away. Me, dude, I don't work here. You can piss on the whole building if you want. I don't care. Do approaches me and starts babbling out something in drunken speak I can't really understand. What I do understand is that he is poking me in the chest. He does this a couple of times, all the while I am still attempting to back away, and I warn him. Me, you will stop poking me. Do, you don't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever the F I want. He pulls back his hand and goes to poke me again. And so, I punched him. In that nice soft space under the Adam's apple. He falls backward a couple of feet and is trying to get his throat working properly again when someone yells out, "What's going on?" That's my brother. I look up to see brother of drunken urinator, Bodu, come running over to check. Me, look, your brother is drunk and mistook me for someone who works here he had an issue with. He wouldn't listen and here we are. By the way, I'm still backing up. I'm about 40 feet away now because I just want to go back to work. Bodu, yeah, he gets like that sometimes when he is drunk. I apologize for him. He gets up to come over and shake hands. Me, nope. Stay right there. We are good. Just stay with your brother and I'm gonna head out. Bodu, oh, it's like that. You not gonna shake my hand? Me, if you come over here, you're going to end up right next to your brother. Let's just call it a night. Bodu looks at me, then down at his brother, then at me again. He mumbled something and knelt to help his brother get up, which I took as a perfect time to turn around and walk away.